Story 1. The Christmas Guest with the Perfume. I'm an accountant living in Seattle. After my 2-year relationship ended last November, I found myself alone in a spacious 2-story townhouse in Capitol Hill. Being newly single right before the holidays is a specific kind of lonely. The rain doesn't help. It just makes you want to stay inside. I re-downloaded Tinder. It felt mechanical, but it was better than staring at the walls. That's how I matched with Vanessa. Vanessa's profile was vague, just a few blurry selfies and pictures of coffee. We chatted for a bit, but it fizzled out. She became one of those matches who just watched my Snapchat stories silently. Then, in mid-December, I posted a story of my empty living room with the caption, "To decorate or not to decorate?" Vanessa slid up immediately. "Definitely decorate." "Need help?" It seemed harmless, maybe even a little romantic. I was desperate for company, so I said yes. We made plans for her to come over at 9 p.m. that night. I ran to the store, bought 2 bottles of expensive Merlot, and vacuumed the house. I wanted to impress her. When the doorbell rang at 9:15, I opened it with a smile that quickly faltered. Vanessa was larger than I expected. Not heavy, just tall and imposing. I'm 5'10", and she towered over me in her heels. She was wearing a heavy winter coat that she refused to take off, even after stepping into my warm house. And the smell, it hit me like a physical wall. She was drenched in a cheap, floral perfume that stung my eyes. But underneath the lavender and alcohol, there was something else. A sour, stale odor, like unwashed clothes and damp mold. "Hi," she said, her voice raspy. She pushed past me and headed straight for the couch. She sat down, patting the cushion next to her. "Sit with me." I poured the wine. When I handed her the glass, her hand shook violently. She downed half of it in one gulp. "So," I said, trying to ignore the smell. "Ready to get the tree?" "Sure," she said, staring at my TV, which was turned off. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the reflection of the room in the black screen. We went to the storage closet under the stairs to get the tree. I dragged the box out, and to my surprise, she grabbed one end and hoisted it effortlessly. Her strength was startling. We set up the tree. I put on some jazz music. I poured more wine. By the second glass, I started feeling wrong. I'm not a lightweight. I can handle 2 glasses of wine. But the room started to tilt. My limbs felt heavy, like they were filled with wet sand. My speech started to slur. "I need to get the ornaments," I mumbled. "They're in the attic." I stumbled toward the stairs. Vanessa didn't offer to help. She just sat on the couch, watching me with a blank expression. I climbed the ladder to the attic, my head swimming. I found the box of ornaments. But as I turned to climb down, my vision blurred. I sat on the attic floor for a second, just to catch my breath. That's the last thing I remember. I woke up in darkness. My head was pounding. My mouth tasted like copper. I was lying on the living room floor, not the attic. Someone must have dragged me down. I tried to sit up, but my arms wouldn't cooperate. I was paralyzed, stuck in a drug-induced haze. I turned my head to the side. The only light in the room came from the street lamps outside, filtering through the blinds. Sitting in the armchair directly across from me was a silhouette. It was Vanessa. She wasn't moving. She wasn't on her phone. She was just sitting there, in the dark, staring at my prone body. "Vanessa?" I croaked. She stood up, slowly. Her height in the dark was terrifying. She loomed over me like a shadow creature. She didn't say a word. She just looked down at me for 5 agonizing seconds. Then she turned and walked to the front door. She didn't run. She walked calmly, opened the door, and left. I passed out again. I woke up for real the next morning when the sun hit my face. I was still on the floor. I crawled to the bathroom and threw up. Once the fog cleared, I checked the house. She hadn't taken my TV. She hadn't taken my laptop or my wallet, which was sitting on the counter. But when I went into the bathroom, I saw it. The medicine cabinet was empty. My leftover Percocet from a dental surgery? Gone. My Adderall prescription? Gone. Even the ibuprofen and NyQuil, every single pill in the house, had been swept clean. Then I checked the kitchen. The fridge was raided. Not the food, the alcohol, the vodka, the gin, the rest of the wine. All gone. I called the police. They took a report, but without a real name, Vanessa turned out to be fake, or a license plate. There wasn't much they could do. Later, my neighbor told me he saw a beat-up van idling outside my house around 2 a.m. He saw a tall woman carrying bags out to the van, but he assumed she was just my girlfriend moving in. Here's the part that haunts me. The police toxicology report confirmed I had been dosed with a powerful sedative, likely benzodiazepines. She didn't just want to rob me. She wanted me unconscious. And I realized something else. That smell? The moldy, unwashed odor masked by perfume. She was homeless. She was living out of that van, and she had probably been watching my Snapchat stories for weeks, waiting for me to invite her in so she could restock her supply. I threw away the Christmas tree. I couldn't look at it without seeing her silhouette sitting in the dark, waiting for the drugs to kick in. Story 2. The Santa in the Snowstorm. This happened on Christmas Eve, 1998. I was 10 years old, and my little sister, Maya, was 6. We grew up in a wealthy suburb of New Jersey, the kind of place where people hire professionals to hang their Christmas lights. But our house was the dark one on the block. We're Jewish, so we didn't do Christmas. No tree, no lights, no Santa. My dad was an ER doctor, and since he didn't celebrate the holiday, he always volunteered to work the overnight shift on Christmas Eve so his Christian colleagues could be home with their families. That meant he was gone by 6 p.m. That left us with Mom. I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but back then, Mom had a problem. She started drinking wine at noon. By the time Dad's car pulled out of the driveway, she was usually on her 3rd glass. By 8 p.m., she was passed out cold on the master bedroom floor. So, it was just me and Maya, watching cartoons in the living room while a blizzard raged outside. Around 9:30 p.m., there was a heavy knock at the front door. I paused the TV. The house went silent, except for the wind howling. "Is it Dad?" Maya asked. "Dad's at work," I whispered. "Stay here." I dragged a dining chair over to the front door so I could look through the peephole. Standing on our porch, covered in snow, was a man dressed as Santa Claus. But it wasn't a nice suit. It looked cheap, flannel, not velvet. The beard was thin and crooked. He wasn't holding a sack of toys, he was holding a black trash bag. He knocked again. Bang, bang, bang. "Hello?" I yelled through the thick oak door. "My parents aren't home," Go away. The man leaned close to the door. Ho ho ho, he said. His voice wasn't jolly. It was flat, gritty. Open up, kid. I got presents for you. We're Jewish, I shouted back. We don't celebrate Christmas. You have the wrong house. There was a long silence. Then the man's tone changed completely. I know you're Jewish, he said. I'm a special Santa. I have presents for Jewish kids, too. Open the door. A chill went down my spine. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed the landline phone. I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? There's a man at my door, I said, my voice shaking. He's dressed like Santa and he won't leave. The dispatcher sighed. I could hear the exhaustion in her voice. It was Christmas Eve. She was probably dealing with drunk drivers and domestic disputes. Honey, she said condescendingly, is he trying to break in? He wants me to open the door. He says he has presents. It's probably just a neighbor trying to be nice, she said. Just don't open the door. He'll go away. Merry Christmas. Click. She hung up. I stood there, holding the dial tone, feeling a terror I can't describe. The police weren't coming. Mom wouldn't wake up. We were on our own. I went back to the living room. Maya was crying. The banging started again. Harder this time. The door frame shook. Open the damn door! The man screamed. Then he stopped banging. He tried a new tactic. Hey! Hey, buddy! He yelled, his voice suddenly sounding panicked. It's me! It's your dad! I froze. I dressed up as Santa to surprise you! He yelled. But I forgot my keys. I'm locked out and I'm freezing to death. Open the door, son, please. For a split second, I hesitated. Could it be Dad? But then I remembered. Dad took his pager. Dad hates dressing up. And Dad would never scream at us like that. You're not my dad! I screamed. He started kicking the door. Thud, thud. I knew the wood wouldn't hold forever. I needed help, real help. I looked at the menorah sitting on the windowsill. We had lit the candles earlier that evening for the fourth night of Hanukkah. An idea hit me. It was stupid and dangerous, but it was the only thing I could think of. Our house had a monitored fire alarm system. If the smoke detectors went off, the fire department was dispatched automatically. They didn't ask questions. They just came. I grabbed the shamash candle, the helper candle used to light the others. I dragged the chair into the hallway, directly under the smoke detector. Maya, go hide in the bathroom, I ordered. I stood on the chair. I held the lit candle directly under the sensor. I blew it out, letting the stream of gray smoke float up into the plastic vents. I did it again, and again. Beep, beep, beep! The alarm shrieked. It was deafening. I ran to the window. The Santa on the porch didn't run away. He looked confusingly at the house, then stepped back into the shadows of the porch pillars. 5 minutes later, sirens cut through the blizzard. A massive fire truck pulled up to our curb, lights flashing red against the snow. I felt a wave of relief. But then I saw the Santa run down the driveway to meet the firefighters. He was waving his arms. He was pointing at the door. I cracked the window open just an inch to hear. "Thank God you're here!" The intruder yelled at the fire chief. "I'm the father. I dressed up for the kids, but I locked myself out and I think they started a fire trying to cook. Break the door down. Save my kids." The firefighters looked at him. He sounded convincing. He sounded like a panicked father. 2 huge firemen grabbed axes and ran toward our front door. They were going to break it down. They were going to let him in. "No!" I screamed, pushing the window up. "Stop!" The fireman looked up at me. "He's not my dad!" I shrieked, tears freezing on my face. "We're Jewish! Look!" I pointed frantically at the menorah in the window. Then I grabbed the kippah, yarmulke, off my head and waved it at them. "My dad is at the hospital. That guy is a stranger." The fire chief looked at the menorah. He looked at the Santa. He looked at the cheap, dirty costume and the black trash bag. The intruder realized the jig was up. He turned to run. But firefighters are fast. 2 of them tackled Santa into a snowbank before he made it to the sidewalk. When the police finally arrived, summoned by the fire department, they opened the trash bag he was carrying. It wasn't toys. It was a crowbar, a roll of duct tape, and empty pillowcases for looting. They found out later he was a parolee who had been hitting houses all night, using the Santa costume to get people to open their doors. My dad came home an hour later, still in his scrubs, shaking with rage. He never worked a Christmas Eve shift again. And to this day, whenever I hear a siren in the snow, I don't feel scared. I feel grateful that I lit that candle. Story 3. The Property Manager. This happened last December. My girlfriend Mia and I decided to splurge on a winter getaway. We rented a high-end A-frame cabin in Whitefish, Montana. The listing boasted total seclusion, situated at the end of a 3-mile private gravel road surrounded by national forest. We arrived around 4 p.m., just as the sun was dipping behind the mountains. The place was incredible. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a massive stone fireplace, and a wraparound deck with a hot tub. It was picturesque, but as soon as the sun vanished, the darkness of the forest felt heavy, like a wall pressing in on the house. We were unpacking the car when a truck pulled into the driveway. It was a beat-up, rusted Ford F-150. A man hopped out. He looked to be in his late 50s, wearing a dirty Carhartt jacket and a beanie. "Afternoon," he called out, waving a gloved hand. "You folks must be the weekend renters." "Yeah," I said, stepping between him and Mia instinctively. "Can I help you?" "Name's Bill," he said, smiling. His teeth were yellowed. "I'm the property manager's uncle. I live in the caretaker shack about a mile down the road. Just wanted to make sure the plow cleared the driveway enough for your SUV." He seemed harmless enough. A bit rough around the edges, but that's Montana. "Driveway's great, thanks, Bill," I said. Good. You enjoy that hot tub. I just shocked the water this morning. If you need anything, firewood, pipes freezing, you just holler." He got back in his truck and drove off. "He seemed nice," Mia said. "Yeah," I agreed, though something nagged at me. The Airbnb host, a guy named Sebastian on the app, hadn't mentioned an uncle or a caretaker nearby. We settled in. We made dinner, drank some wine, and watched a movie. Around 9 p.m., we decided to hit the hot tub. It was snowing lightly. We sat in the steaming water, looking up at the stars. It was perfect. Then, abruptly, the jets cut out. The bubbling noise stopped, replaced by the silence of the winter woods. The water went still. "Did you hit the button?" Mia asked. "No," I said. I reached over to the control panel. The lights on the panel were dead. Must be a breaker. That's when we heard it. Crunch. 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 Footsteps in the snow. Heavy, deliberate steps. They weren't coming from the driveway. They were coming from the side of the house, circling the deck where we were sitting. "Hello?" I called out. The footsteps stopped instantly. We scrambled out of the tub, freezing wet, and rushed inside, locking the sliding door behind us. We peered out into the dark, but saw nothing. "Probably just a deer," I lied to Mia, though I knew deer don't walk with a heavy, two-legged rhythm. We decided to shower and warm up. I went first. The water was hot for about 2 minutes, then it turned ice cold in a split second. Not a gradual fade, an instant switch. I jumped out, shivering. "Water heater's busted too," I yelled. I grabbed my phone and messaged Sebastian, the host. Me. "Hey, power to the hot tub died and the hot water is gone. Also, heard some noises outside." Sebastian replied 10 minutes later. "That's weird. The heater is new. I'll send my maintenance guy out first thing in the morning to check it out." Sorry about that. We didn't sleep well. Around 2 a.m., we were woken up by 3 loud, aggressive bangs on the front door. Boom, boom, boom. I grabbed the heavy iron fire poker from the fireplace. I stood at the bedroom door, listening. I heard the front doorknob jiggle, metal on metal, then silence. We stayed awake until dawn. At 8 a.m., I was in the kitchen making coffee, eyes glued to the window. I saw Bill's rusted Ford truck pull into the driveway. He got out, carrying a red toolbox. He walked right up to the front door and didn't even knock. He just reached for the handle. Finding it locked, he knocked impatiently. I opened it, keeping the chain latch on. "Morning, Bill." "Morning," he said, not smiling this time. "Sebastian told me the water heater is acting up." "I'm here to fix it." I felt a wave of relief. Okay, so he did know Sebastian. He really was the maintenance guy. I was just being paranoid. "Yeah, come on in," I said, undoing the chain. "It's in the basement, right?" "Yep," Bill said, stepping inside. He tracked mud onto the rug. He walked straight past me, opening the basement door like he owned the place, and disappeared downstairs. I went back to the kitchen to pour coffee for Mia. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Sebastian on the Airbnb app. Sebastian. "Hey, just a heads up. My maintenance guy is running late." His name is Greg. He drives a white van. He should be there by 10 a.m. My phone slipped out of my hand and hit the counter. "Mia," I whispered, rushing into the bedroom. "We need to leave. Now." "What? Why?" "The guy in the basement isn't the maintenance guy. We didn't pack. We didn't change out of our pajamas. I grabbed the car keys in Mia's purse. As we ran toward the front door, I heard heavy boots thumping up the basement stairs. Fast. We burst out the front door and jumped into my SUV. I slammed the locks and hit the ignition. As I threw the car into reverse, the front door of the cabin flew open. Bill stood there. He wasn't holding a wrench. He was holding a hunting knife. And he wasn't looking at the car. He was looking at me, his face twisted in pure rage. He started sprinting toward the car. I floored it in reverse, spinning the tires on the ice, swinging the front end around. Bill lunged for the driver's side door handle, but his hand slipped off as I accelerated down the driveway. I watched in the rearview mirror as he stood in the middle of the snowy road, shrinking into the distance. We drove to the sheriff's station in town. When the police raided the cabin an hour later, Bill was gone. But what they found in the basement made me sick. Next to the water heater, he had set up a cot and a small camping stove. He had been living down there. And the broken water heater? The pilot light had been blown out manually. The breaker for the hot tub had been flipped off at the panel. He had cut the utilities on purpose. He wanted to force us to call for help so he could come inside. They never caught him. The truck was stolen. Bill was a ghost. But the scariest part? When the police dusted for prints, they found palm prints on the inside of the shower door. He had been in the bathroom while I was showering. He was the one who turned the water cold. He was waiting for me to close my eyes to wash my hair.